Hey everybody, welcome to Old Fashioned Catholics. I'm Nick. I'm just Nick. I'm not, as far as I know, I'm not doing the episode alone today, but I am currently doing the episode alone. So it's me and two people viewing. And let's see, Tara. Hey, Tara Tara Coleta. Hi, welcome. Yeah, just hanging out. It's 9:30 in the morning for me. It's I think 8:30 at night in the Central Time. Again, we're trying to branch out a little bit and be able to do things a little earlier in the night for people. So earlier in the morning for me, although I did realize the other day that because of the time change, we don't have daylight savings time here. That I can meet even earlier, and it'll be earlier for you guys because I got a little buffer there. So anyway, glad you guys are here. And I mean, what I'll say is I don't know exactly what to do. Other than turn this off. Other than I can just answer any questions. Like we were just gonna do open Q&A. And I'll start by talking about the question we always say is what are you drinking? So I am drinking today. We are all under the weather. So and anybody who's moved to another country, there's new bacteria and you're just kind of sick all the time. Some of our friends down in the capital city, they're like, yeah, for like a year and a half, you'll just all be sick off and on, and then you'll be all right. And so with that said, Jason and I both have been trailing along everybody else getting this sickness. It's just a cold. All the fevers have stopped. That was like, that's 3 weeks ago. But now we just all have a cold. Everybody is sniffly and coffee. So it didn't take me long to start day drinking. The first episode, I just had water that I threw olives in. It was disgusting. But now a friend of mine bought me some Napoleon brandy from town here. And I had never had Napoleon brandy. I heard about it in that song by Cole Porter, You're the Tops. You're Napoleon brandy. Anyway, I never tried it. I only had E&J my whole life. And it's great. And so I made a brandy hot toddy, which has Napoleon brandy, and it has 3 apple slices. I can't tilt it, but 3 apple slices and a little bit of maple syrup, a little bit of honey, brandy, and hot water. So that's what's going on. Everybody is home, so we will get probably interrupted. Also, we'll probably have tech difficulties because I'm just hotspotting from my phone. See how that goes. Aviana says, hey, soul sis. Maybe you're talking to Tara because I ain't your sis. And then Owen S, thoughts on Top G. Are you talking about Top Gun, the movie, Maverick? Or is there some other Top Gear? That was a show, right? Top Gears. I have thoughts on Top Gun that I think we mentioned once. I can't remember, but I'll gladly, if that's what you mean, I'm going to wait, Owen, and see if that's what you meant. You can just respond in the comments. I'm usually, as a speaker, I'm not awkward alone, but normally it's a back and forth. So I guess I would say it is the end of the rainy season here. They just finished with their water festival. They just celebrate when the rainy season ends, and so it was 3 days. And not Top Gun, Andrew Tate. I'm going to be honest. I don't know that name. I'm sorry. I'll look it up right now. Andrew Tate. I'm looking it up. Unless I shouldn't be. If this is inappropriate in some way, then Owen, I'm going to cut you from the thing here. Andrew Tate. So scared to see what this is. American British internet personality and former professional kickboxer. He began offering paid courses and memberships through his website and later rose to fame an online influencer. He's misogynistic and I don't know. I can't commentate because I just found out he's been banned from Facebook and Instagram, but that doesn't mean anything. And the downfall of Andrew Tate. Sorry, I don't know him, so I can't comment on him. I don't even know of him, so I can't comment on him. Sorry about that, Owen. I mean it. As bad as I want to comment on somebody and judge them, Anyway, weather has been good. It's kind of always good here. We are told that it'll be nice and chilly, which is like 80, 85 until March and April. So that's what's going on here. All right, so fire away some questions because I actually didn't come. I don't want to really ramble about myself other than questions that are asked. And that's awkward too, though, just waiting. Makes for a really boring episode. And then when you're painfully aware that it's boring, I'm trying to think. I haven't heard from my co-star. I haven't heard at all. He's just not around. He has not read any of the texts. If you're with Kevin right now, can you wake him up? You tell him. I am typing the word alone. I mean, I can ramble. Okay, so being here on the other side of the world, I'll just talk until being the other side of the world. What has been the hardest thing to adjust since moving? Okay, good. I would say the hardest thing to adjust to since moving has been my kids. My kids' adjustment to moving. We've lived overseas so much. We've lived out of the country. We've lived just kind of in varying degrees of like comfort and size, floor plan type, whatever foods. We've kind of gotten used to that. So for me, it's just been great. It's just, and I feel really bad saying that. It's just been awesome. It's just been wonderful the whole time. But for our kids, the adjustment, we always knew that was going to be that way, but there's a lot of adjustment. There are no friends, no family. The food is different, so you get tired of that after a few weeks. I feel like they're coming out of the dip, but there's definitely a dip where nothing makes them happy. The younger ones have definitely regressed. We've been talking about that, but it was expected regression. So, and we also got to be with grandparents all summer, and now grandparents are gone. So there's like for the 3 and the 5-year-old, there's definitely a walk back where they're just me want milk type thing. Me want mommy. And whereas, and also suddenly they're both, I mean, my 5-year-old's obviously potty trained, and then our 3-year-old was daytime potty trained, and has just walked back on both of them have walked back on it, and they, wet in their pants and they'll come in and like, I went doo-doo. And like, well, you haven't done that in like 2 years, but it's all expected. It's still frustrating. The worst version of yourself comes out. The least patient of yourself comes out when you thought you were past that hump, and then now you're back on it with 2 kids. So, but at the same time, now that we've settled into where we live, they've started to, there's some neighbor kids that they play with, and then they've started, like this morning, Hudson was riding his bike around our house, and so, he's starting to play outside more and not need to be near us. But at the same time, so for instance, language study in the morning, we have tutoring from 9 to noon, and we hired, like personally, just hired somebody for, just in case you're a supporter of us, a very small amount, but we needed a babysitter to come and talk Khmer to them while we were officially learning Khmer, so that we could learn without interruption. And that has not panned out because, I mean, it's panned out. She's here, but it just, what happens every day is they basically both sit on Jacelyn's lap and make noise while we learn. So I don't know. My screen's going black, so I don't know if I'm glitching. Somebody type it in the feed, and then I would know. Or if you happen to have my cell phone number, text me so I would know that I'm glitching. Anyway, they have their own, like, so my 17-year-old Christian, he not only did he have to leave his girlfriend and sports and all that, but there's just no friends here, and he's, they're homeschooled in this house, so getting him out and having him, have the ability to do other things has been tough. But I will say they're all starting to level off. It's just a rough, when you're playing the long game and you want to stay here for decades or whatever, Lord willing, then you have to play it differently. You just have to know, okay, I don't need to rush this in any way. Not that you can, but I don't even need to try, because it's just, these are the stages that they'll go through. And then eventually we'll level off. So we got bicycles. We had actually fundraised to buy bicycles. So we each have bicycles, and the kids have been, now then when they need to get out, when they're like just getting frustrated and irritable, they'll just, can I go on a bike ride? And they can just go, and they can be gone for 30 minutes or an hour or whatever. And because they know the neighborhood now. So that's nice. Meihui asked, is there a Catholic church close by where you all live? Yes, actually. So you can't see it, but there's a road here. And if you just get on that road and drive for about 9 minutes or so on the tuk-tuk, it curves around over a river, and eventually you're at St. Joseph's. So, and it's great. I would try to, maybe at some point I'll try to call up pictures so I can put them on the screen. I could actually do that right now. No, I don't think I can. Anyway, it's been great. They are, the church is awesome. They have a English mass on Saturday night that you can go to. We went once, and that we were kind of encouraged to, maybe as we get settled, then come and play guitar and be a part of. But we really, really like going to mass in Khmer. Where Traceland's working on a Khmer mass guide, so it's English and Khmer together. We're practicing the different words and stuff. So we kind of enjoy that. And I just like being around all the Khmer people, and yeah, so that's there is a church nearby. Nicole, oops, sorry, here, let's see. So she happened again. It looks like I might be back. I'm not sure, but I would like to do my I would like to hotspot off my phone. I'm sorry. This is going to be an ongoing thing. It's more so today because everybody was sick, we canceled language school, and because we canceled language school, everybody's just kind of around, and so everybody's using bandwidth as well. So I hope the switch happens here and we can see. Gosh, hold on. You probably all be able to see me right now. I just feel like I'm offline. So 1 second. Okay, good. I'm glitching a little, but it's better. Let's see. So I just want to make sure I'm back. Let's see. I'm looking at the feed on Facebook. So I just want to make sure I'm back. Let's see. I'm looking at the feed on Facebook. Okay, so there's like a 30-second delay. So I guess what I'm going to have to do is just stay on there, on the Wi-Fi. Sorry. Sorry, this is just part of it. What I've been speaking to people on, I haven't, and I actually commented to Father Mike the other day. I miss speaking a lot. I miss preaching. So the kids have had to deal with me like sermonizing on things that I'm listening to and whatnot, and just kind of relay it to the family and the team. Because we do have Sabrina and her daughter Rihanna are here, and then Raya. And so they end up having to listen to me. Like normally I'd write a talk and I'd be giving it somewhere or do it online, and it just, life is different now. So I do miss speaking. So I haven't been speaking to people a lot, except for I've been really getting into St. Jose Maria Escriva from Opus Dei, founder of Opus Dei. And I didn't know anything about Opus Dei. I like him a lot, man. So much of his stuff. There's actually a podcast, if I could suggest to people, if you're interested. Oh, sweet. I have a friend who's going to join us in a few minutes. That's cool. Let's see. The podcast is called, gosh, the actual title of it is just so, St. Jose Maria Institute podcast. So it's this year, St. Jose Maria Institute podcast. And it's just it's been going since 2014. So if I were you, I'd start in the newest and work way back. But it's just it'll be like a 25-minute talk based on some reflection of his from the Way, the Furrow, or the Forge, or one of his homilies. And it was all about lay people living your faith in day-to-day life, in the hidden life, in the whatever. So that has been wonderful. Holy cow. Every day I'm amazed at some of the things he says and some of the ways he's encouraged to live it out. It's got me really excited. So as for what I've been speaking to people on and reading, it's the same thing. I listened to a podcast and then I end up talking about it that night at dinner. So that has been amazing. Some of the most, yeah. And again, like things that I think are they're very basic, but things just like, Jesus had 30 years of hidden life. We know of like 2 moments from that. Other than that, it was totally hidden, like his whole life. And he had family life the whole time. He just had a family. He lived. They would have done chores. They would have eaten dinner together and meals, and they would have studied the word, together. And Joseph would have taught him the word of God. Like that was the majority of his earthly life. And we skip over it because we're not told it. But Jose Maria had said that like that's kind of the point. Is like it reveals a lot that we aren't told about that. That was just family life. We know what family life is like, and we know that since nothing outstanding was given to us, we know that he was just living family life. As much as the God man, the hypostatic union could. So that's been really amazing. So I've been reading that, and then we've started reading Christmas books, Christmas stories. L. Frank Baum, who wrote The Wizard of Oz, he actually wrote the Life and Adventures of Santa Claus, it's Santa Claus, and it's wonderful. We started the other night. We're just we started reading those things, which is really fun. What has been your favorite part of moving to Cambodia? Oh, it feels like coming home. To be honest, Jason and I were saying the other day, it just feels like we're finally home. So that would be that. And how could do it get where you are? How cold does it get where I am? I think it was 72 on one of these days, and it was cold and rainy. And literally though, because I don't have one sleeve in the country. I didn't bring any sleeves. Hey guys, I don't know if I'm back on or not. I would like to find out the mystery of why. How's this? Am I back on? There's 30 second delay. I think I'm back on. Piece of junk. I don't know how to stop my phone from bumping me off the hotspot. I'm not sure if just when the screen locks, if that's what happens. In which case, I guess. Sorry, you're gonna have to wait 1 second. I am back. Okay, good. I just want to figure out. Hey, if you know where screen lock, how to turn off my screen lock, it's probably under Face ID passcode. I don't know, but I know that this is more glitching than in the past. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it's under battery saver. This is by far my least favorite episode I've ever done because I don't like having to look down at this. Yeah, you can go ahead and tell me where it is. Okay, so the question was, how cold does it get? Like 72 degrees when it's cold and rainy, and it feels frigid. We were like, we got to get hoodies. We have to go buy hoodies. We saw people with winter coats on, just thick, and it was 72. And the thing is, I was driving the tuk-tuk, and I was in the front getting rained on, and it was freezing cold. Like it just, the comparison was nuts. So that was the answer to that. Let's see. Probably hot all year long. It is hot. Yes, in most standards. And it's usually 80 and above on any given. I mean, usually 80, 85, but that's just on any given day. Okay, so I'm back. Let's see. How cold? Favorite part of moving? Oh, yeah, moving has just been that we're home. We don't ever want to leave. Like, that's just, yeah, we don't want to leave here now that we're here. That's actually my one of my fears is that we'll have finally made it here and like, like all our missionary support will dry up, and then you just got to go back to the States, and that's like a big fear. Like we're finally here. I don't want to spend a year here diving in and getting into the language and then not be able to. So, and yes, Nicole, I have been told that in the past. Unfortunately, it's not my favorite role model, but I have been told that in the past. I hope I have a little more common sense, but actually I don't. I know that I don't, so it's fine. Let's see. I think that was it. Those are all the questions so far. Did anyone ever tell you? I remind him of Steve O. Cold as it get, hot all year long. I disappeared again. Yep, that's it. It's really these comments and stuff don't show up after the fact, so these will all disappear unless I put them on the screen. So, like for instance, if I'd show everybody that someone said I look like Steve O, then that lasts. I think that lasts. One of the things. Oh, here we go. What am I feeling most passionate about? Here you go. That's what. Oh no, that was the old question. All right, no, there are no new questions. How Catholic is Cambodia? It isn't. It's 0.4%. So out of 17 million, there's less than half of a percent. I had a friend who said, I said, so what is the Catholic Church like in Cambodia? And they're like, it's small and joyless. It's like, oh, okay. So kind of like America. That was the joke, and we laughed. But it is very small. It's interesting. It's an entirely different world. So when you go to mass is the same. It's in Khmer, but it's the same. But there are, I'd say 50% of the people who come they're not Catholic. They're Buddhist. Most of them want to be Catholic, but it is a massive decision to leave Buddhism and leave your family in their perception. You're leaving them, and become something so seemingly different. Well, it is fundamentally different, but like it's a big shift. And one of the things is there's a bit of a superstition where, and this is from the horse's mouth. This is not me making it up. So if you're a 17-year-old and you have an encounter with God and you genuinely like you're following that prompting and you want to join the church, you want to become a visible Christian. The second you do that, the superstitious side of things kicks in and your family. And so, for instance, if there happens to be a car accident or a famine or a drought or part of your house burns down, that 17-year-old will get blamed because look what you did. This is your karma coming back for having done this to us. And it's really, really intricate. And so on Sundays, you have communion and people go up to receive and a ton of people stay seated. And then once that's done, a whole crew of people, a lot of kids go up for blessings, but then a whole crew of people go up for a blessing. And they aren't able to receive, but they are in that process. It's a lot like where Jesus says, like, before you build a tower, make sure that you have the ability to build it. Before you go to war, make sure your army is ready, because when they make that decision, it's life altering. It's very easy to become a Christian in the States, or to say you are. It's very easy to leave. It's interchangeable in a way that that shouldn't be. Here, it just has such import to it, such weight to it, that they wait a long time to make that decision. We just had elections here in the States, and I went to the voting booth thing, and I was running around the area, and they told me to stop. All right, well, Daniel, if you are running around the area where people are voting, they're going to tell you to stop. I vote for that. That's where I place my vote, that you stop running around voting area. Anyway, I have a friend who was able to join for a few minutes here. And so I'm going to let him come on. There we go. Welcome, Bill.
Nick, how's it going?
It's going all right. We've had a bunch of technical issues so far. So in case it glitches out, what will happen is it'll just be you and I'll cut out, just so you know that. So you'll have to carry the show at that point.
Hey, no pressure. Hey, glad to pop in for just a little bit. You have a wonderful tropical background there, a Cambodian vibe.
Isn't that nice?
Yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. You can't see it, but like all of our laundry, I think I showed it last week. This is there. Laundry, sheets, everything.
Nice.
And it's so humid that it can sometimes take a couple of days for things to dry, but We have hot, sunny weather right now. So,
wow.
how have you been?
Yeah, good. Well, blessed and stressed. I'm in the whirlwind right now. Yeah, traveling and teaching, and then and family. It's never a dull moment. It's action packed.
Yeah,
as you well know.
Action packed. That's one way to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, there are other ways. There are other ways to say things.
Yeah, there would definitely be other ways that people have said, but action packed is a good one.
Yeah,
probably gonna use that from now on.
Yeah, lots of.
No, it's interesting. I was texting Bill earlier just before he was able to come on the show, and just was saying like, I can't remember how you phrased it. You needed, was it to be energized or needed refreshment, something like that. Refreshment. And I didn't know if you meant just like a refreshment, but I was like, isn't it weird? Like as a parent, sometimes you can get in the middle of the crap storm where you feel like,
oh
gosh, I would benefit so much from like a spa day or like a day completely off, but they don't happen. Like that's not even the lot you're called to. So it's weird to have to. Yeah.
Yeah, but you have to acknowledge that you're well, I mean, this is why Jesus said, come away by yourselves to a deserted place and rest a while. Even though when they got there, they didn't really have a chance to do that. That's right. That's the zinger in that gospel. You're like, oh, that sounds great. Thanks, Lord. Sorry, back to work. But yeah, but we do need to rest.
And I think
we need it.
That's probably part of it, though, is to show that like even for Jesus and his dudes, like, yeah, okay, let's come away. But it's not going to be what you think it is. It's not going to be rest. I think about that sometimes here where I try to get up at 5:30 now because the days start so early that I try to get up and have time to like brew hot water for coffee and listen to morning prayer. And how many times Davey will be there in the middle of it and Hudson will be yelling upstairs. He'll be waking up early. And how many times you're like, I thought I would get some time. Like I thought I got up so early, but it just doesn't work that way.
Yeah. I think we have to admit that we, I mean, it's cool to just share the frustration with the Lord. Like he wants to hear it all. And still, you know, we can ask for it. We can ask for the little oases, however you say it. And I think he'll give it to us in our turn.
Sure.
You know, this is a nice moment even just now. I mean, I can chat with you, which is awesome because we don't get to do that live enough. We just do it through Marco Polo. But so it gives you a pocket when you need it. I think a little pocket of sunshine or firelight.
Yeah, I think that's what happens is you end up getting it when you need it, not normally when you want it at all. Like it just doesn't happen when you're at that point you think you need it. But hey, Father Timothy Naples. Let's see. Whoops. Let me post this. There. How many folks at your parish masses?
Yeah,
again, like so I was saying like 50% of them are not Catholic, but I would say there are probably around 100 on Sunday morning here in Phnom or in Siem Reap. Siem Reap is a big city. There's 250,000 people in the city. And there's the one church. So there's that. So even that ratio though, it's pretty small, but it's cool to see them. They're the ones that are there, contrary to the report that they're joyless. Like the ones who do attend, it's great to see because they're very, very smiley. I mean, the Cambodian people are that way anyway, but it's pretty neat to see. In fact, Raya, who came with us, she's a gap year student. She's here on our trip. She's been gone for 5 days. She went with a group to a youth synod for the whole country. And I think there were around 200 people there. And you know, camped out. I mean, she was in actual tents because they're all in. And they were up in the mountains in a waterfall hanging out and, you know, learning about God. And so there are encouraging things happening. It's just that stuff is so structured in the States. Evangelism is such an actual thing that there are programs and there is outreach, and it doesn't exist in the same way here in the Catholic world, especially. There's a local non-denominational group in town who they built a water park, and there's a splash pad water park type thing. And that's their outreach because it gets hot here and people come and they try to share the gospel that way. But the Catholic world is a little different here. They don't really grasp the like, hey, you should tell people how much you love the Lord. Like they don't. That's newer, but that's okay. They were decimated in the 80s they were decimated. Like the church was just leveled, and so they're on a rebirth in that sense.
You're just being with, Nick, right? I mean, you're that's the heart of mission, is just being with. Right? There's not a lot of infrastructure
There's not,
or, as you said, programs. It's just it's the most basic human encounter, I guess, like it was in the beginning.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I was listening. I don't remember what the talk it was. Oh, it was one of the Jose Maria podcasts I was listening to, but they're just talking about how, I mean, we think the church was big to start. I mean, there were like 109 people in a room, and that it spread one by one. In fact, there's a historical commentator was writing, and I don't think he was Christian in any way, but he was writing about the Christians of that day, and said something to the effect of how they don't have anything, but their message spreads one by one. It just spreads from person to person, and like that's encouraging in the sense of I know a couple people here that I can just hopefully show the love of God to. It's kind of refreshing in that regard. You wish we did that more in the States because we rely on programs as opposed to that relationship. But at the same time, programs are good. So
they are, but you can slide into like, a productivity model, like how many numbers, how many people came out, and then you lose you lose the intimacy of just the one or the two that's authentic. I remember an experience in Haiti. It was Dominican Republic. I was at a batey, a plantation, sugar plantation in the Dominican Republic that was serviced by a lot of Haitians who had come over. This was back in like 2002 maybe. And there's tension between the Dominicans and the Haitians. There's not a lot of love between the two peoples. In some respects.
I didn't know that.
But the mission, I remember I got dropped off and I was kind of wandering around the batey by myself. This big, big lanky American that kind of stood out a little bit. And it was like, who are you and why are you here? Oof, and I'm just here to be with you. Just be with you and spend some time here, learn about you. And just being there for a little bit, it wasn't too long, it was just like a couple weeks, I think. There's this ability to read, like, are you here to like sell me something? Or are you here to just like kind of spend time with us? And that sensitivity, you got to have that sensitivity. Like, I'm not selling cars. I'm not trying to, get you on board. Like, you're not a number for me. Like I can, put a little scratch on my pad. It's just coming back enriched by the people that you met. And God sees all ends. Like, you have no idea the fruit that's going to come out just by the little daily encounters and the spirit of joy. Like, remember that guy, Nick, that was here for a few years? Maybe it's going to be 20 years. Who knows? Didn't he always have a smile? Didn't he always have a sense of joy? He always really listened to us. I just feel like there's so much sticking power to that authentic human accompaniment and just walking and being with.
Yeah. It seems so. It's funny because we when we lived in China, we were just there as teachers, and the team that we were with, I remember one time the boss, he had been there like 13 years. Our boss had, and just lived in the same neighborhood, like and it wasn't overt, just lived his life there. And at one point he got in a taxi and he went to like start to tell the taxi driver how to get him home. And he's like, oh, no, I know. And he said, what? He's like, yeah, we all know you. You're the smiling people. And he said, what are you talking about? He said, yeah, you guys are the ones who smile all the time. Like, we know where you live. Like, we're the smiling people. And he said, that was like huge. Because again, I don't, that's only the beginning, like being a smiley person. Sure. Like, that's just the beginning. But that's something to be known for. And, my friend here in town, I hope to have him on the show sometime. Sambat, he's probably watching now, or he does watch all of our episodes. But Sambat, we met him after just 4 or 5 days in country. He led us on a little tour out to this village. It turned out to be his village, but he led us out for just an ox cart tour. We got to ride on the back of an ox cart. And looking back, you feel so dumb because you're like, that's just like their thing here, and now we live here. But you're doing the tourist thing. But we met him and we clicked with him, and we've just been hanging out. Like, he's all the time. He's in the hammock here. At one point he's like, so what are you doing here though? Like, your wife's a doctor. And I was like, oh yeah, we came, we're missionaries. I had said that. And we came here we started our own nonprofit, and we came to just to give to the Cambodian people. And he was like, so like pay it forward. I was like, no, it's not actually pay it forward. Like it's very different than that, because we're not trying to pay anything. We're not like investing and like wanting a return. Like we're just we were called and we're led through prayer to come here. And it was kind of cool to get to have that conversation, because I mean that was the only. I mean, Sambat and I talk all the time, but we haven't talked about that. But to be able to be like, why am I here? Like, oh, that's why. So
that's good.
Can you hear the chicken?
I can. I was going to ask about that. Is that your egg supply?
No, we've talked about it though. But like, there's another building right here. You just can't see it, but it's just there, and they have a bunch of chickens that start early.
Anyway, sure they do. Nick, I know you're in the middle of the episode, and I kind of popped in on you. I sort of episode bombed. Is that a word?
That's good. I'm glad you were here.
Yeah, no, good to be here. So, what's one of the most exotic things you've encountered in the couple months now that you got under your belt? I mean, sort of like, I am not in America anymore. One of those moments.
Well, I think it was eating tarantulas and scorpions. That was it. Like, because that was on my bucket list. Always been on the bucket list. And when we lived in China and visited Thailand, I never did it. And I told myself, okay, when we're there now, though, you're in it for the long haul. You're gonna eat the spiders, and they don't eat tarantula. It's a gimmick in a sense. It's at a few of the stuff. I mean, they eat bugs like crazy, but they don't eat the tarantulas and scorpions all that often. But so we did. I did. Davey did. Hudson did. And we ate tarantulas and we ate scorpions, and I think that was one of the. And then recently was just snake. Our tutor Ratana, she also her main thing she does is she sells bugs, and so she made snake for us, and that was the moment where I was like, we just don't do this in the States. I know the cowboys used to do that, but like we just don't eat a lot of snake. And yeah,
tastes like chicken.
I think probably that has been the most exotic. Because the food is just drastically different. They put fish sauce and oyster sauce in everything, and it's really overpowering. And I've had to like tell our tutor, like, it's not that I hate it. I'm eating everything you cook, but at the same time, it's just so foreign to us for our food to reek like fish. Like the anus of a fish is what I've been saying. Like it's not the good part of a fish. It's like it smells so foul, and then you eat it and it tastes really good, but the smell it's not part of our nasal palate. So
right. Do you think you'll acclimate in a year or so?
Yeah. We're trying to. We're actually like, she's teaching us meals so that we don't. Unfortunately, there is a U.S. style grocery store that's uber high priced, but it caters to all the tourists here because it's a huge tourist town. And so we've tapered off going there, and we go there for the things that you just cannot get elsewhere. But we've been learning to cook more Khmer-ish type things, and we've been relying on rice. And there's a vegetable market. I can't wait to post a video. There's a vegetable market like in the movies, chaos. There's just lines of stalls, and it's just meat on the ground. And I'm there every morning. I shop there every day, and so I have stalls that I go to that I know, and that's been really fun because we're starting to eat more simply and eat more like the Khmer people.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah. But you lived all over. Where did you go? What were some of the exotic things you had when you visited as a missionary?
Oh gosh, well, I never ate tarantula. Yeah. I just sampled whatever was there. But I think, like, as far as the most exotic, I'm not in Pennsylvania anymore. Moment was Papua New Guinea. That was the most, halfway around the world. Only sort of westernized, or not even really westernized, in the last 100 years. So just the look and feel and smell of everything was pretty dang exotic. And we were up in a Goroko, which was like a sort of a rainforesty area. And just taking a little walk. I was doing a bishop's retreat for these
Okay.
bishops from the Solomon Islands and Papua New Guinea itself, and just meeting those guys was so cool because they, some bishops of course have a pectoral cross. Well, these guys had like shells, they're like
No
exotic
way.
garb and then like a cross, but also like, and they were really chill. And then you'd take a little stroll and the most exotic spiders, like crazy, Tim Burton, is that the guy? The wild,
Yeah.
yeah, that kind of a style.
Yeah.
Like, is this real? You want to almost like poke at it. Is this real? This can't be real. Did
It's
somebody
awesome.
spray paint that thing? Um,
Yeah.
but yeah, and then you just you don't ask a lot of questions. So like the food they gave us is just like, here you go. And like, oh, thank you. I'm just gonna eat it now.
Yeah.
And just don't tell me. Just don't
Yep.
tell me anything.
I don't want to know. I don't want to know.
Yeah, that's fine. It's good. It's great. Salt? Any
Well,
salt?
they have this cool breakfast. They call it breakfast porridge. It's rice based. It's kind of like rice porridge, and on its own, that's normal. But they'll throw everything else into it, and so you'll get your base. And they add like a little bit of chicken, so it tastes a bit like chicken soup, which is cool. But then like the Khmer people, they'll just like they'll have a bowl full of stuff that's some porridge, and then there's intestines in there, and there's something that they've called she was saying it was liver, and so I was eating it because I thought it was liver, but it's not liver. It's the blood coagulated, like it's thick, hard, chewable blood. It's in the store. It's called blood. Like, so I was like, oh man, that's just.
Well,
And again, not that any of it's bad. It's just so different than anything
oh,
stateside,
Oh yeah, that sounds like a sort of a haggis gumbo mix.
Yeah. Oh,
thing. Blood pudding, haggis, and gumbo all together. Ew.
Oh,
yeah. Well, Anyway, anything else you want to talk about? Something different? Because this is kind of. I'm starting to taste it myself. That's all right, though.
Yeah. Well, before you came on, I'd be interested in your opinion, or thoughts, not opinion. But I've recently, as of late, really, really gotten into Saint Jose Maria Escrivá and like Opus Dei and whatnot, and not that I would ever like I don't know, not that I feel like we would ever be like Opus Dei, like I don't know if members, whatever the word is, members of that order, or whatever. But just man, his stuff is his little one-liners that he compiled over the years. They're like insanely powerful, but super simple all at the same time. And do you have any experience with him or like his writings or thoughts on him?
Yeah, I don't have a ton. I mean, I went through it's the In Conversation with God series. Is that it?
Okay.
That's some of that has a flair of Opus Dei, and I've read some of his the little books. Is it called The Way?
Yeah, he's The Way, Furrow, and the Forge.
Yeah, that's it. And yeah, I remember getting sort of like gobsmacked by the simplicity and the potency of it. But I never did a deep dive into the spirituality of Opus Dei or they call it the prelature, right? Is it the prelature? And then you can be like a supernumerary. Like there's these kind of, I know a few people that are involved, and it's really it's just like the simplicity is what's striking about it. It's just the rhythm of daily life and how this can be sanctifying.
There was one thing the other day. So it's in The Way, his thing talking about penance. But I was listening to this podcast that I've been listening to where they just they unpack one of his things, and it's somebody at the Institute wherever in the States, and he's got a New York type accent or whatever. So there's somewhere stateside, but he unpacks. It's like a 25-minute teaching on a little bit. So or something he said once in a homily. But anyway, I really, really liked this thought on penance. He said, "In the deep pit opened by your humility, let penance bury your negligences, your offenses and sins. Just as the gardener buries rotten fruit, dried twigs, and fallen leaves at the foot of the very trees which produce them. And so what was useless, what was even harmful, can make a real contribution to a new fruitfulness. From the falls, learn to draw strength. From death, life." And I was like, that just the analogy then of the farmer who just, he takes the stuff that was even harmful after it, had fallen and buries it, and it becomes like the fertilizer for it. That's such a neat way to think about penance, about doing penance, but also just that idea of like this deep pit opened up by humility, let penance bury everything. And I just like, wow, he has little bits like that, he originally compiled them all for himself. He compiled them in his own little notebook over the years, thoughts that he had in order to just instruct himself. And then down the road, he's like, well, other people might benefit. Wow. So he removed his name from them, and he removed anything specific, and then just addressed them to generic you. And I just that. So I was interested, and so you don't know much about him, but he has that humility of just everyday life that I'm really enamored by.
Well, that line right there, I stumbled on a guy, a Protestant theologian, Norman Gerza or Norman somebody. Sorry, I forget right now. But he was riffing off of this whole idea of gardening and the compost pile and I love what you just shared there, because I mean, it's first off just the sacramentality of reality, right? Everything is in nature we can riff off of and see. It's all parabolic. Like there's parables in it. Like even as I'm looking at you right now, Nick, and behind you is just so much life and lush green, and there's bugs in those trees, and there's all these relationships happening that is making oxygen and life for all of us. It's just amazing. So I love that idea of the burying it down, and our broken bits and our failures are still like compost, like they're the broken eggshells and the coffee grounds and all that stuff that becomes fertilizer and rich soil. And I love that, I always love that the humility, humus or humus is the word, the root, or humilis, which is like, it means earth, like humility, literally the etymology of humility is earth. So it's like, you're kind of just standing on the earth. You're real. You're not like up on a mountain, pride. You're not false humility, like under the earth. You're humble means to just be standing on level ground. Like, this is it. I'm rooted. And I think, I love that. Because any other thing, if we're detached from it all, we're not in touch with reality anymore. If we're like, we have a false pride or false humility, we're not attached to the earth anymore. And so it's not real. We're departing from reality.
Man, so like there's a definition in the Catechism about humility, and I can't remember the exact wording, but basically, just a recognition of what is. It's not self like humiliation like we think of it,
or inflation.
I'm just saying what is, recognizing that God is God, I am not God. And that idea is like, man, humility seems easier when it's that just recognizing the reality of a situation would because I don't know, humility always seems so scary. Like, just be humble, man. But like more like, just be truthful, just say what is. Like, just
it's been misrepresented. It's been misrepresented as like some sort of self-flagellation, like, oh, I'm the worst, and that's actually that's not humility. Like for somebody to say to me, hey, you're really tall, and I'm like, oh no, I'm really 5'1". It's like, no, thank you. It's not my fault. I'm 6'4", like God made me, and thank you. It's just being based rooted in the real.
And I've struggled with that over the years. When people are like, hey, really good job speaking, or like say something like that, like, hey, good talk, just to be like, thank you. I usually just try to like I make it awkward, but I just say, well, praise the Lord, because then they nobody knows what to say to that. That's weird, but then that kind of just like, okay, good. I'm glad it went well. I started for a while saying like, if you do something since 1996 onward, you should be okay at it. Like I should. Good. Otherwise, I suck. Like that'd be trying to just adequately recommend like because Bill, you're an amazing speaker and your courses are amazing. Like, okay, good. Praise the Lord, because I'm trying really hard for them to be good. Like, praise the Lord.
Yeah, it's true. Well, I'm always blown away by Mary in Luke's gospel when Mary says, my soul magnifies the Lord. All generations will call me blessed. When you hear that, you're like, all generations will call you blessed. Like, wow.
Yeah.
But she's the most humble. So that's real humility that she said that. It's not about her. It's not her construct. She didn't, she gave her yes, and God did the work. So, I mean, you've been saying yes since 1997. and
Right.
probably earlier. So
Well, and it's
yeah,
also interesting because Paul, I used to talk about that, where Paul, says, "Okay, follow me as I follow Christ," and
yeah.
like, okay, all right, easy tooting on your own horn, but he's like, no, I listen. This is the orientation of my life. So if you need something to follow, you can follow me. Like, because these days he'd be like, no, it's just about Jesus, man. You don't follow anyone else. Like, but it's
Mhm.
good. It's good and humble to recognize, no, like this is what I'm going to do with my life. You can follow that. Like, well, I don't know.
It's kind of amazing how, like, with the Catholic Protestant interpretations of things, when you talk about saints and you talk about relics and you talk about, like, imitating the saints as a obstacle for some who might be Protestant. You're like, but you look at Paul and you're like, actually, he literally said to do that. He said to model after him, who's modeled after
Yeah.
Christ. And there's that passage, I forget where it is in Paul's letters, but or maybe it's the Acts of the Apostles, where they just wanted, like, his shadow to fall on them or to touch
Yeah.
something
Yep.
he touched. It's like, hey, that's relics, And
Yeah.
for a
Yeah.
Catholic, it's not like these are magical, totems or items that are, in and of themselves magical or something, but it's because God's working through stuff. Like, that's what he does all the time.
Right.
He's working through you and Jacelyn right now. He's working through your kids. He's working through their smiles and their kindness. He works through everything. He's coming at you through Sambat and all the people that you're with. And that's how
Yeah.
he comes. He comes through all these things, and it's pretty amazing.
Well, and like I think that was one of the things that, again, not to circle back to that, but Jose Maria
Yeah.
Escrivá talked
Hmm.
so much about the daily things. They're not, the daily life is not, it's not a drudgery that you're supposed to pray to learn how to handle well. His point was that it's not a drudgery like we think it is. If we understand that Jesus spent 30 years of his life in
Yeah.
drudgery,
Yeah.
it has to unlock something. There has to be a deeper reality to that daily life than just like, okay, I just gotta get through this because it's a cross I want to bear. And like, no, he didn't bear, that wasn't his cross. He bore a cross, but it wasn't those
Yeah.
30 years. And so like
That's right.
there's like that's something like the real grit of daily life has to be something more than we're missing. Because otherwise that means like that we're like destined for occasional good moments, and then the rest of it just has to be like wait. I'm like, that
Yeah.
doesn't even seem
Yeah. That doesn't make sense.
logical. That
That's
doesn't make
right.
sense at all.
Yeah.
But again, like if you've had a bad night and your family's like, if things are chaotic, and
Oof.
more than chaotic, if they're rough and there's
Mm.
genuine, families have fights and things get real heavy. If when that happens, it's also important to realize, okay, then that can be a cross. Those moments are crosses, but that the drudgery isn't. It just isn't what we thought it was. It couldn't be. But
Right.
I don't know how to unlock that yet. But that's lately. That's what I've been kind of leaning towards. Is like I think there's something that we're all missing in being raised. That like, all right,
Yeah.
busy work and drudgery. Those are a thing you have to learn to do well. Like I don't know, I think we're
Mm.
missing some key component. I think there's got to be glory. There's got to be more glory than once in a while. So
Yeah. Oh, I'm totally with you. I mean, here's the thing. Like, you and Jacelyn have been living, walking the walk and trying to live your faith with your kids for, you know, your whole lives. And now you're in Cambodia, which can seem like this, whoa, this is this wild, extravagant thing, which in certain respects it is. But it's really, you're just transplanting the school of your family, a school of love, into a
right,
different location and putting down different roots. It's not like
we're like studying
it's
abroad.
just, yeah, 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 yeah. You're
Yeah,
Rhodes scholars. It's like,
yeah,
it's not a radically different thing. Yeah, I think it takes a long time for us to get this. I mean, myself included. Like, we want the big, fireworks kind of thing. Like, I'm going to do this for you, Lord. And it's like,
yeah,
yeah, but did you, I already gave you a lot of opportunities to do this. We want the, like,
yeah,
this with a capital T, and it's like, I gave you this lowercase t. A lot of these little, look at all these little thises. Did you do this? How were you this? Oh no, I thought, just get that over with. I'm like, and then this.
yeah,
It's like, but the little things build. Yeah, I mean, even I texted you before we jumped on. I was telling you it was a rough night.
yeah,
Uh, it's been rough years. I think previous episodes when I got to be on your show, thanks for the invite. I've shared about our story with our, we share as adoptive fathers, right? We've got 4 adopted kids in our family. And yeah, man, as the years go by, it's like, whew, there's some serious broken stuff coming out and lots of challenges and lots of issues. And I mean, thanks be to God, Rebecca, we're making it by the grace of God and good coffee, but it's like this is what will make us holy. And so it's not like getting past this and into the next thing and like just got to fix this. And it's not about fixing, it's about feeling it and being purified by it and trying to help our kids deal with some internal trauma and some wounds and stuff. And they're, you know, it's really powerful to get the insight that this is it. This is mission right here. You don't have to, it's right there. And you're dealing with it too in your own family. And you're doing it in Cambodia too, which is amazing. I always tell you how I'm inspired by what you're doing. But yeah, I think it's all to make us these just radiant lovers, you know, givers and receivers of love. And it can happen. It can happen anywhere, anytime.
When it seems like that, like if you think, like from what I know of your story, like what you shared and stuff, like if you think about there were these amazing moments where, like, you know, embryonic adoption and when it all worked and there was pregnancies and when, you know, regular adoption, you know, happens. Those are miraculous moments where when you're in it, you're like, I can't believe this is happening. Like, this is amazing. This is a miracle. And those are a moment. Those are like a one moment. But then I used to joke, like, because we'd tell when we first adopted the boys, like when Esther, well, we had the boys and then Esther moved in. Like, I remember the first weekend she lived with us, and Christian was like cupping water to help her brush her teeth, and it was just like this like pure moment. Wow. But like then they hate each other. Then they're in their teens, and they just there's no. He would throw water at her face. He would not hold it in her hands for her. Like the real life. It's what we call it, real life. Those are the more real moments. That's a moment. That's like a movie moment. That's one you can write down and you can tell to people, and it was impacting. But they're just all underpinned by like the lowercase this is those. Yeah. I feel like so often, like, what if a capital this doesn't ever happen? Like, then you wasted the whole lowercase t the whole time because you were waiting for some big one. And I don't think in the end they end up being that big. They are, but like, I don't know. It seems like the daily, well, that was, what's her name? Teresa of Avila. One of the Teresas said, if you can't find Jesus in the pots and the pans, you will find him nowhere.
That's right.
Like, just that idea, like, if you can't, because he's there, he washed dishes. Like, I don't know. There's something in that, which again are different than the real bad days that you can have with real brokenness. That those are the big moments. So.
Yeah, but it's all, you know, the little things equip you for the big moments. But I mean, in a certain sense, they're all big. They're all big. They're all invitations. It's amazing. It's so purifying. It's so purifying. And yeah, it can be painful. But again, that's why we're here. When you understand that's why we're here, to become saints. You know, like fire tried gold, that whole thing. And it's like, oh, okay. But there's nothing like this mission for you guys. There's nothing like family life. There's nothing like all that to make it very present. It's very present, very palpable. It's like, dang, man.
Well, and I think that's when the analogy works best. When the idea of like fire tried gold, we're like, oh, cool, I want to be purified, but just okay. Well, then you just burn and burn and burn and burn, and it hurts and it hurts and like that's actually part of that purification. Like, how many nights you've had that you struggle, Bill? Like, how many nights that you're trying to lead a family and be a husband and a father that you just like there's just only burns. That's all it does. Like, you can't escape. You shouldn't want to escape that. You should want, like, not you, generic you. Like we should want that. Yeah. Because those are the things, like you said. So this is the purification.
Right.
Two things. One, I wanted to answer Hollis's question. He asked, let's see, there we go. How different is Cambodia from America, and has it taken some getting used to? In some ways, it's very, very different. I've been a little bummed. We're in Siem Reap, which is a town of 250,000 people, and there's like there's a mall which I just and there's a Starbucks which
Oh,
and
shoot, I
so
hate
those
that.
things exist. But we've been able to start, like Sambat lives in a very small village that we've talked about moving out to. And Raya is out at villages teaching English. And so we're trying to get out of that. This city is very similar in many ways, but very, very different in others. Culturally, it's different. Food wise, it's different. So yeah, I didn't want to skip your question. It's taken some getting used to, but not much for me because we've lived in Asian culture before and we lived in third world countries. And so we have a lot of background on it. It's been harder for our kids, but they're also adapting. Kids are more resilient than we are. So, but then Bill, I wanted to toss this up here. Nicole had asked tips just for discerning spiritual gifts like vision, auditory message, spirits, how to tell if it's from God or a deception. I would definitely in all points defer to you, Bill. Here, I'll put that up
Wow.
again so you can.
Wow. Oh, gee. Okay. It's so ironic. It's ironic right now. We're offering a course at the Institute. You know Father Timothy Gallagher? He's an Oblate of the Virgin
Mm-hmm.
Mary. He teaches, so he's leading our course this week at BlackRock. I was just with him. And he's doing theology of the body and the discernment of the interior life. So he's talking
Okay.
about some of these things, these ideas of spiritual gifts. So let's see, Nicole. Visions, auditory messages, spirits. Yeah, how to tell if it's from God or deception. Yeah. Well, it's funny. He went through Father Gallagher this week, literally, at our retreat center. He's going through
That's
the rules of
awesome.
St. Ignatius. Yeah, it's so good. And the rules, so Nicole, I would point out, like, look for the rules of St. Ignatius. And they're very powerful because they're looking at the good spirit, which is from God, the Holy Spirit, and the evil one. And what's the difference between those two spirits? And what Father Gallagher's been laying out for us is that, the good spirit, God's spirit, is always coming at us with hope, with with a positive word, with encouragement, with some kind of fruitfulness that's going to come, that leads us out of ourselves to become a gift. The evil spirit is always going to do something that stirs up doubt, fear, division, suspicion. The evil spirit can sometimes create this sort of division that makes me in some sort of like esoteric special group, like if they only had what we have. And so when you look at some of the spiritual gifts, if there's this community that you're involved in, or there's this movement where there is that sort of we have this and I wish they had this, and that is not a good spirit, because the spirit is coming from Christ is that they may be one, Father, as we are one, right? That we may be one. So it's just, okay, what is this thing leading to? What's the fruit of this manifestation of the spiritual gift? Is it breaking down barriers and making me more of a gift for others, and I see them as a gift for me? Is it building communion? Does it have the fragrance of the gospel of freedom, of hope and joy, not accusation but advocacy, so I get closer to God? Or is it stirring up like a little bit of that division? So yeah, just and realizing this. The second point too is spiritual manifestations and gifts like locutions or auditory messages or visions. They're actually never necessary for our salvation. They're all just like the top of the cupcake. You know what I mean? Like the swirly bits with the sprinkles. They're they're really cool. They're kind of amazing. Wow, but they're not essential for our salvation. So if you don't experience them, it doesn't mean like you're not holy. Sometimes they can actually be a distraction for some because they can get stuck on the little sprinkles on top, when that's not the main substance. The substance of the faith is my heart becomes one in the heart of Christ. Christ's heart is in me, right? That's the main point. But so they can be gifts that get us to the point. The end game is communion with Christ. But I would look up Father Timothy Gallagher's books on the discernment of spirits. He is excellent.
Yeah, I just bumped it into the chat there. I sent a link to the Amazon book. This summer when we were packing and whatnot, going through
Yeah.
really stressful times spiritually, I listened to the audiobook and read along to Discernment of Spirits by Dr. Timothy Gallagher, and
Wow. Awesome.
and man, what hit me was because having grown up I grew up in a very hyper spiritual and not even in a bad way, just a super spiritual, like youth group, and like very charismatic Pentecostal. I grew up in that, and so there were you're always seeing and hearing something, and it doesn't mean I'm not negating it. I heard a lot from God, but at the same time, reading through this and listening through it, finding like the Ignatius steps are like they're just so fun, like rudimentary. They're just so fundamental and just clear. They're just like you had said, like, okay, if it is leading towards something good, cool. If you can tell that it isn't, then you don't. There's nothing more to discern. It's not leading you towards good, towards God, to the true good and beautiful. So like they're so clear. They're super deep, but they're just
there's a simplicity for sure.
They're misleading for a second, because you're like, well, that's too basic. But you're like, no, that's what you want. You want that basic guidance in the Spirit. So I would really recommend that. Oh, cool, you got it in your card already. And then Bless Cal said for you, Bill.
Does that differ in regard to how you discern as to if you're walking towards the Lord or if you're not walking closer with Him? No, I think that's in the same vein. Yeah, because again, the things that are happening to us in our lives, like these Ignatius would call them consolations and desolations. He talks about again, the end game is communion with the Lord. So God will give us consolations. That's His direct action, and the desolations that come are His permission. He permits desolation to happen. He doesn't send us desolation. He doesn't send you cancer. He doesn't make you get a flat tire. But He will allow those things or permit them to happen for a reason. So as we're moving closer, can you put that question up again, Nick, real quick? That he just shared. He's such the master of acting and allowing, that we can always trust that the end is He's leading us towards Him. So this discernment is looking at everything, like Ignatius would look at everything. It's like that scripture, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And He's speaking in everything. So Ignatius talks about like consolation, desolation, and he says, when you're in consolation, enjoy it. It's a direct gift of the Lord. But remember, desolation may come, probably very soon. This consolation might be equipping you for a coming desolation. But then he says, if you're in desolation, if you're on the downswing, remember that consolation will come again. This too shall pass. And so this discernment, again, is like discere in Latin, is to learn, right? So discernment of spirits is learning this rhythm that is very seasonal. And what we're doing is we're not clinging to the consolation, so that if it goes away, we're like, oh, my life is over, I'm a wreck, or I'm doing something wrong. No, it's just, it comes and goes, So we're not defined by the desolation or the consolation. We just ride those waves. And just think of like how beautiful that is. It's like Peter on the water. Keep your face fixed on Christ's face, because the second you're like, oh my gosh, He looks down, it's like you're going under.
Well, and it reminds me, and it's been a while since I brought it up, but we talked for a bunch of episodes. I kept bringing it up. Father Chizek from He Leadeth Me, and just that idea that what changed for him when he never had a bad day again, even though he was in solitary for another 4 years and he was in the gulag for 17 years. What never changed, he never had a bad day again, because he was like, I was able to in that moment realize, okay, because God said, you're looking for my will as if it's something out there that you have to find. But what you just have to understand is that right now, right this moment, right now, this is my will, or we wouldn't be together in this. And he said, you have this idea that I'm getting you through a hard time. I'm not getting you through something. I'm bringing you this moment. I'm not there. You're not getting through. You're not elsewhere. You're here. And so this is me and you right now. And like that, just for him, was just forever. Like he never had a bad day again, because he was able to. And so I don't know, like what you were saying when it comes to discernment of spirits. Yeah, today's a consolation day. That's awesome. Like you have days with your family. Oh, I'll do this. You have days with your wife.
Yeah.
we're like, this is definitely consolation. Like we're on cloud nine. Like this is wonderful. Like, oh yeah, this this feels like marriage. Like blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And you
Yeah.
have them and you enjoy them. You don't be like, yeah, but the tough time's gonna come. You just enjoy the moment.
That's right.
But
That's right.
there are times in a relationship that things are tense and you're tired and you're sick and you're frustrated and you're depressed and you're stressed and all those things are real. You're still married. You're still in relationship. Though everything looks different, it's still you two. And so
Yeah.
it's the same. It's like infinitely more so with God. It's like,
I should say this. No, Nick, that's great. I should say this, like rule number
you do.
5. Well, St. Ignatius's rules, right? Rule number 5 is, in a time of desolation, never make a change.
Yes,
it's such a great rule. Like, if you're feeling like, in the down in the dumps, that is not the time to say, like, I shouldn't do my daily rosary, or daily mass. I mean, nothing's really happening. I'm not changing. I'm not going to go this time. It's the worst time to do that. In times of desolation, do not make a change. Stay steady, right?
that's so good. Because you could be like, you could get all the way across the world, and your kids are suddenly I was talking before you got on. Our kids are regressing, our 2 youngest. So suddenly your potty trained child is now soiling themselves 3 times a day, and they're speaking in broken baby talk, and they're screaming at you, and things that were a given aren't anymore. And you could be like, all right, well, we did the wrong thing then, apparently, because this is taking such a toll on our kids. But again, like you just, nope, this isn't the moment to be like, I'm heading back to the States or what,
Right.
This is the moment to just stay. He's still here.
Exactly.
He's with you right this moment. So just stay here. Don't run from me because I'm here. That sort of thing.
That's exactly it, Nick. And you guys are the perfect example, because you didn't do this haphazardly. You didn't do it suddenly. You prayed, you prepared, you talked to the kids, you got them in the zone as much as you could with their different ages.
Yeah.
But so you made those decisions in a time of clarity or consolation, or you were clear-headed. So you stick to it. And maybe in a year or two, there's also that thing of discernment where it's like, if there's a steady, clear sort of sign, and you get a sense of what's coming from God and what's not, then it's like, okay, but you don't act in haste. You don't like, oh, I screwed up, I'll forget it. Because you prepared for this, and I know you did. It was a long preparation. So stay the course.
Well, and I remember our boss when we were in China. Anytime people were there on a team as teachers, about 6 months in, he would request, "Hey, can I have your passport?" And because they had one of the team members going 6 months in, it gets tough, and going through a tough time, and just in the night book a ticket, and they were gone. They went back to America in the night. Like the sun comes up, and they weren't in their apartment anymore, and they were heading back to America. And so that idea of like, no, you don't do that, because you're when you're in the desolation, you don't see clearly because it's dark. It's dark out, it's dim at best. And so, just again, that's was it Nicole who had asked? That's how like basic and powerful the Ignatian, like what Ignatius was talking about, and Father Gallagher's book takes you through. It's just so clear, but powerful.
Yeah. By the way, 2 things real quick. I noticed that you're not drinking anything, and I feel really guilty that I'm drinking. Oh, you are.
You missed. You go on with yours, and I'll tell you what I am drinking.
So, well, the first was a pint of Murphy's, which is my go-to Murphy Stout from County Cork. But this is a splash of Drambuie. So it's the Highland Scotch with heather honey. Yeah, a Scotch liqueur. So that's really good. All right, I'm glad you're drinking. Tell me what you're drinking.
Well, first, my friend on the team here, she went to a wine tasting in town. Like they were at a little restaurant and met a guy who's like, oh, I supply the wines for some of the restaurants, and they went to a tasting. So she bought me Napoleon brandy. And
that's great.
We are sick, right? And we're all sick. So I made a brandy hot toddy. So I have apple slices and honey and brandy. But they have Drambuie here. And but I was like, the other day I saw it and I was like, because it was higher on the shelf, And
Of
I was
course.
like, man, I just can't. I'm not. That's all right. Okay, no, I'm not gonna. I'm not. I'm a missionary. Like, this.
Yeah, it
I
looks
think any of the
challenging.
money I use came from one of you guys. So like, I'm just okay. I won't do that. But I am. I
Well,
am willing to spend it on cheap things. So,
well, there you go. Well, I should let your
there you go.
listeners know that I did beg you for your address so I could send you things like Drambuie and good pipe tobacco, but
Yeah.
you stubbornly refused to give me. But
Yeah.
I'm gonna keep. I'll
So
keep
here's what I'll
asking.
say. The the postage is so unreliable that 2 weeks from now. So when we left on September 4th, I think it was or 3rd, September 3rd, I mailed a package here. And it got here within a couple of weeks through the US Postal Service. And I have to drive 7.5 hours to the capital city to get it because you have to
Oh
pay.
my
I don't
gosh.
know if you want to call it the bribe or if you want to just pay the extra fee
Yeah.
that exists to
Okay.
get your things. So so
Okay.
2 weeks from now for Thanksgiving, we are going down there. And I'm like, so if you were to send me something, it just wouldn't make it.
Oh
It just
no.
couldn't get here. So
Especially if it was
yeah,
a nice scotch or some tobacco.
Scotch
Okay, that
liqueur.
makes
I
me all
know.
right. That clarifies. I'm just gonna have to sort of
I'm not being
airdrop it
humble.
from
I
like
just
a.
wouldn't get my booze. So
Yeah, you'd be more annoyed. So that's the reason you're
yeah,
not getting
I'd be sort of frustrated with you. So yeah.
Here we go. Well,
Um,
the second thing I wanted to mention, which does not connect at all to this. Um, I don't know if you know this about Father Timothy Gallagher, and I'm glad Nicole was asking about discernment, and I forget the other person, but um, did you know that he is a massive Lord of the Rings fan?
no,
You didn't know that? Oh, ho, ho.
I did not know that at
So,
all.
so Father Timothy Gallagher, on the Discerning Hearts podcast, he has I think it's like a 10-part series. It's a spiritual retreat on the Lord of the Rings. He goes through
All
every
right, keep
character,
talking.
every scene from the Fellowship, Two Towers, Return of the King, like the whole journey, and he pulls out these incredible insights about the characters, their choices, the battle of vice and virtue going on. Yeah, it's like 10 different episodes.
So what's the podcast
Discerning
called?
Discerning Hearts podcast, and then look up spiritual retreat on the Lord of the Rings. So in the lecture this week, I was sitting in the back there just drinking it in. Christopher West and myself drinking it in, and Christopher was also co-teaching with him. But at one point, he brings up an image of Theoden, the king of Rohan,
Yeah.
and I'm like, oh, here we go. And he starts bringing that to the discernment of spirits. He talks about Worm Tongue as being the evil spirit that draws Theoden away from. Oh, it's so good. And Gandalf's kind of the angel figure that brings the light. And then later he brings up the Phial of Galadriel, like this light that will be, for you, and when all of the lights go out. And it was so great. And he even gave me a shout out. He's like, he brings up the image of Galadriel giving the phial to Frodo. It's a zoom in. And he's like, I don't know if anyone knows this image. Perhaps Bill? That's like, I
That's
know
awesome.
exactly what that
Perhaps.
is. Yeah, perhaps Bill. So I showed him
Perhaps
my
Bill.
I brought, was it yesterday? I brought my leather bound edition of Lord of the Rings, the big book that I got. And he just like, woo. And I said, Father, I know your hands are consecrated so you can touch it. And he laughed. So,
Awesome.
anyway,
Oh my
he's a
gosh.
huge, you will, Nick, you'll really enjoy that. Like he's
Is
just,
it that?
yeah, I think that's the one. Yeah, Discerning Hearts podcast.
Okay.
And you'll just search for the
All right.
spiritual retreat on Lord of the Rings. He's
I'm
so good. Your
subscribed.
kids will probably love that too.
I
Your
Well,
older
and that's
kids.
the other thing. I think the Live Not by Lies, Roger, like the whole
Oh, yeah, it was great.
story of that family who, going through the communist overthrow, their parents read Lord of the Rings to them over and over.
Yep, the
So
Bender
we
family.
started
Yep.
that prior to leaving, and
Mm.
we've gotten settled now where if dinner gets done and we have about an hour before bedtime, we'll come out to the
Wow.
patio and the lights are dim and I'm not allowed to smoke it, but I have my Gandalf pipe. And then we had to get rid of all of our books. We left. I brought 4 books with me and we had a library. I brought
Gosh,
4 with
wow.
me overseas. And, but we did the few purchases we made on Kindle. I purchased, Lord of the Rings, Silmarillion, Hobbit, all this. So we're into
Mm.
Two Towers.
I don't know if you can hear me, Nick, but you froze.
It's I'll read some line where Aragorn makes like some bold statement, and you can hear them like, oh, like they're all like they're actually listening. So there's just something, man. I
That's
cannot wait to
awesome.
meet Tolkien, Lord willing. I want to meet
Oh
that
my
guy.
gosh, that's so great. I'm so pumped that you're
Can
doing
we
that.
put a shout? Can we put a plug for your some of the Lord of the Rings stuff that you do?
Sure, yeah. Well, we have official dates now. So next November 5th to November 10th, I'm going to be teaching for the first time at the Institute, Southeastern PA. It's going to be called, I think it's going to be called Poets for the Kingdom, the Sacramental Stories of C.S. Lewis and J.R.R. Tolkien. So we're doing a deep dive for 5 days into the works of Tolkien and C.S. Lewis. And yeah, this is my job. I feel really like overwhelmed by the fact that this is my job. So that's November 5th of
Holy
next
cow.
year. And then the pilgrimage to Oxford and England and all manner of places where Tolkien and Lewis worked is going to be probably the spring of 2024. It's all right, Nick. I'm gonna just get like rent a chopper and just come in and throw a rope down and grab you and pull you up, and then we'll take you to England and we'll just do the
Listen, the only reason I would not want to be a missionary anymore is so I could be stateside and be a part of that. So just that's the effect you're having on me. Just
Oh my gosh. Well, it's gonna be so great. So, and then the other thing is the homeschool connections. So next semester, starting in January, I'm doing the next level, high school level, Lord of the Rings on homeschoolconnections.com. It's called Learning Life Lessons from the Lord of the Rings, and it's for high school boys. It's for boys only, which I wish it could be boys and girls, but the administration wants to do boys. I know. I've been fighting it, but there's yeah. Anyway, so that's coming in January at Homeschool Connections. Yeah, I just Tolkien is there's something very mystical and important about his work, and C.S. Lewis, of course.
well,
But
and I would like again, this is just all speculation, surmising, or whatever musings. I just hold on. I think my phone jumped off of my computer jumped from my hotspot to the Wi-Fi here, and it won't bode well. So just hold on one second. I'll reload.
yeah, it's been very
When you can
clear
hear me again,
until
tell
the
me.
last few minutes. I can hear you now. It just got choppy a couple times, but it's been great throughout. But just now it got choppy. I can hear you though. And now I can. Okay.
So I'm back. I don't know if you are.
You're back. I can hear you.
Okay. I wonder, like, he wasn't an evangelist, and he wasn't like a church leader, and he wasn't all these things, and he was unknown except for his works in that sense. But like, when you get into them, they're utterly deep. Like they show such like discernment and spiritual depth. They're like, who was this dude that just, I mean, language is pouring out of him, and there's something so godly. I don't know. Yeah. So your thoughts on that would be good.
Yeah. Well, the thing about Tolkien, which is so remarkable, is again to your point. He literally said, "I want to write a great story. I want to write a long story that will keep people engaged and give them that sense of adventure, like getting lost in a great story." That's what he did. He wasn't like, "I'm going to evangelize people through the sacramentality of imagination and bring the Catholic faith." He never intended that. In fact, it was much later. The Lord of the Rings was already published, and he wrote a letter to a priest friend, and he said, "I did not intend it, but looking back, it's a profoundly Catholic and religious work." So, like, literally, he was like, "I didn't intend that," but that's the beauty of it. And I think it goes back to what we were talking about with you and mission, which is maybe a weird connection, but you're just going, you love people, and now you love the Cambodian people. You're going to you love, and so you're just going to do it. Tolkien loves mythology. He loves fairy story, and he just does it. But because he's a Catholic and a believer, it permeates everything that he does. Everything you do, walking around the marketplace, talking to anybody, it comes out of you. So he was faithful to what he was passionate about. He was passionate about great story, the power and potency of mythology, and he was like, felt called to do it, and he just did it. The great adventure. And it just so happens, of course, that the gospel is the greatest adventure. Right.
Yeah.
Like he says, I think it was Tolkien himself who said, the gospel is the fairy tale that came true, which is
Oh,
awesome.
no way.
Yeah, yeah. I think it was either Tolkien or Chester. I think Tolkien said that in fairy stories, his essay on fairy stories. So he was just like doing what he loved and what he was passionate about, and that's where the Lord comes and makes it fruitful. Like he meets him there. So yeah, when you read it, you realize there's hierarchy, there's truth, beauty, and goodness, there's virtue and vice, there's the cosmic battle, and it's just dripping with all sorts of stuff. I think I've told you, Nick. I know of a Carmelite nun. Her name is Sister Magdalena. She literally got permission from her mother superior at the Carmel to read Lord of the Rings as spiritual reading.
No way. Yes,
It's
you
true
did
story.
tell us that. That's
Yeah,
right.
true story. So there's a Carmelite nun somewhere reading Lord of the Rings right now in her little chapel in
But that's
adoration.
the thing, though. That's the thing, though. Like in my Kindle version, I'm highlighting all the time because I'm like,
Oh yeah,
that's that's a spiritual guidance. Like what he just said there is so like
yes,
I don't know, deep and
over and over again.
fundamental, and it's crazy. And again, I had heard the quote that it was this profoundly religious book or whatever, but not that he said that after the fact and didn't intend it.
Dad, we're
Hey, buddy.
watching you on the phone.
Are you guys watching me?
Yeah.
They're what my kids are watching the episode in the other room.
That's awesome.
This kid who has no pants on, he's going barefoot.
Well, we're glad
He's
you got
fitting
the
in
top
with the
level show.
locals. Yeah, make it kid friendly. Yeah, I just there's something about it that if I'm gonna find a way to I don't know, for my kids to see your class and stuff, because I just think there's something so beautiful about that. Even when you had said like he wasn't setting out to write something like that, but he was so passionate about mythology and all that. But then so again, there's a pitch for doing something. If you're gonna do something, just be the freaking best at it. Like do it to the utmost possible. Like don't just casually do something. But then also the fact that he quietly, his faith was so real, and he knew it so well that he wrote something that like every page unpacks. So I don't know, it's so complex. Just amazing to me.
Yeah, it's astounding. And I just picked up. I had a copy years ago, but I got another copy. There's the letters of J.R.R. Tolkien. So there's over 200, I think, or more letters that he wrote to various, people, fans, fellow authors, his sons, his own family, and he's giving insights on the backstory of things, like when people ask him stuff, or advice to his sons, and it's insane. I mean, I think he could literally be canonized one day. His insights on the spiritual life, on marriage, on the Eucharist, it's like, wow, what a dad. What an amazing guy.
Well, and even his, and I'll get the details wrong because that's what I do, but I know that he loved this woman, and Edith, they Edith, but he was forbidden by the priest who had taken him in or whatever. Until he was an adult, till he was a certain 21 or whatever. Like, no, if I'm taking care of you, you're not getting distracted by women. I don't care if it's the one woman. I don't care. You're waiting. And he waited till midnight of the day that he was of the age that his spiritual authority said. He wrote her. He went to town. He went on a train and found her. And they were like, okay, let's get married. Like, he was so like, I don't know. He was all these things. Oh gosh.
That story is even better, Nick. He went to Edith on his 21st birthday, maybe. It was like 2 or 3 years that he waited, and she's engaged to another dude because she hasn't seen him for 3 years.
What it was.
He shows up, he opens his heart to her. She breaks off the engagement, and then they're married for like 40 years, 50 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want the. Go ahead.
No, the best part is that one of his central love stories is between a mortal and an elf, Baron and Luthien. Luthien's a beautiful elven princess kind of figure. Baron and Luthien. That story is rooted in an encounter he had with Edith when she was dancing in a forest glade when they were newly married in Yorkshire, England. And he was so smitten by this beautiful young bride dancing with her long black hair. He wrote that into his mythology in the Silmarillion, and later in the Lord of the Rings with Aragorn and Arwen. On their tombstone, he literally has John Ronald Royal Tolkien, Edith Bratt Tolkien, Baron and Luthien. He put their names under their names.
No way.
Because that's the love story. Like this guy, there's nobody like Tolkien. There's never has been, never will be someone of such breadth of imagination. Like amazing.
Some podcast the other day was talking about him where even just at the same time how he was like fully like when he was writing I can't remember if it was in The Hobbit, he mentions like the origins of goblins or dwarves or whatever, but then he retconned it later and like changed it, and but he had the wherewithal to do it by saying like, well, some people say this is where they came about, but the actual truth is that like just that's having fun with his own world he was creating. Just like, man, that dude.
He always said that he didn't create Middle Earth, he discovered it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Gosh.
Which is amazing because that goes into the theme of the artist, like Michelangelo, greatest sculptor and painter of, Western civilization.
Yeah.
When he sculpted the David, which is in Florence, it's like a 13-foot high, the sculpture of David. He said he was already in there. I saw him in there. I just had to chisel him out. Like this idea of like discovery, that I didn't make it. I mean, that goes back to humility, right? That's humility.
Yeah.
Tolkien was deeply humble. C.S. Lewis said that Tolkien was the most married man he'd ever met.
That's awesome.
Because he was just such a humble husband. He would literally go home every day for lunch with his wife and kids. He would go home every day. Even he was Oxford Don professor, amazing author. He would go home to be with his family as often as physically possible. And he would he would actually take walks with his 4 children and 4 kids. He would walk with them individually because he knew how important it was that a father know their individual child, their personality. I'm just like, how did he do all that stuff? How much coffee did he drink? Did he sleep?
Seriously.
I'm just like,
oh my gosh.
I want to be that guy. That's why I think he should be a saint. I really do.
That's actually one of the things Jason and I talked about before we came here. And granted, we've only been here a month and 3 days or something like that, or 2 months and 3 days. But one of our goals is, okay, then there are benefits to the missionary life. There are detriments and drawbacks, and there are challenges that are different and worse than states, are harder than stateside. But there are also benefits that people back in the States don't get. And one of them is we truly do get to form our daily schedule to an Instagram. We own it. We have nothing but forming a schedule. So it would be pretty ludicrous to not schedule in time with each kid. It would be dumb. Have I done it? No, because I'm dumb, but I'm working towards it. We're trying. Jason's better at it than me. But just that idea that he would do that, like walk with each kid. I'm like, man, I don't know.
I know. Trust me, I'm working on it too, Nick. I really am. I mean, tonight, our 9-year-old Sheila had a complete meltdown. And my first reaction is just like, oh, come on. It's 9:30 at night or whatever it was. And I'm just like, come on. But then we had a moment of where I isolated and then just kind of rubbed her back, just like, it's okay. It's okay. Just kind of freaking out. But it becomes soothing. It becomes calming. But it's hard, you get splintered. But the thing with the individual attention is, it's not quantitative, it's qualitative. It's like, just do it because it's important. Just do it. Yeah, but I don't have time for it. It's not about the time. Just do it and see what happens.
Yeah.
That was just a 3-minute encounter if I measured it. But it's always challenging.
Well, and that's why I'm thankful. And I mean it like, all humility. I need people like you in my life to bump me in the right direction to do that fatherly stuff. Cause your first instinct is like, come on. My answer is come on. Like I go with my first instinct. Like I've become a worse father coming here than I was, or I've become more of the guy that I am. In fact, I told a friend of mine who had asked, so what's it like over there? I was like, well, the missionaries are the same people they were before they left. The circumstances are great, but just the same moron, like for real, maybe worse in these first 2 months than I've ever been. So it's good. It's good to have people like you on who can encourage all of us towards that. No, I'm not. You're not perfect. You're an idiot too. I know.
Oh heck
but
no! I am a complete idiot. I was gonna say, Nick, follow me for a day. Follow me for a day. Stick around. We'll put the GoPro on. Like, whoa.
Well,
dude,
that has been.
Simmer down.
I know I need to wind it down because we're at an hour and 36, but that has been one of the humbling things of when we got here. So we have our family, and then so there's 7 of us, and then we have our teacher and her daughter, and then we have a gap year student, and we all came together, but we assumed, that we all fundraised, and okay, we'll get our Davidson home, and then the gap year, and then the teacher, they can have their apartment with their daughter, with her daughter. And we'll be close by, but we definitely need space. But like God worked it out. We live in the same huge house. It was cheaper for us by far to rent this. And this is a huge place. I will send a video someday, maybe on an episode I'll walk through. But but we all live together. We have separate floors because there's upstairs where all the schooling happens, and then the Davidsons live, and then downstairs there's 2 separate bedrooms. But I have multiple times told, especially the gap year, like, her name's Raya. It's not the gap year, but I've told Raya, listen, when you go back to the States, you tell everybody what good parents we are, because no one else needs to know, because they just see you on the real, like, minute by minute, like where you just like yelling at your kid. So that's humbling.
I'm with you. Oh, very humbling. I am totally there every day. But the scripture says his mercies are new every morning. I need that.
Yeah.
His mercies are new every morning. Nick, it's been awesome, this bonus. I didn't even think I was going to be able to pop in tonight and chat with you. So
I didn't either.
Yeah. It's great.
Okay, so in closing, of course you have to give the toast, because if we didn't have a guest, I'd be giving it, but you have to give the toast. But I guess closing thought-wise, looking back over, we have discernment of spirits as a question, and people have asked about transition and whatnot. I'd be willing to bet that every question asked has been answered by Tolkien in Lord of the Rings. Like, seriously, I'm looking back. I'm like, I think everything gets folded into that story. So I would say 2 things in closing. One, if you are watching this live or later, and you've never read Lord of the Rings or listened to an audiobook, the movies are wonderful. They're wonderful. They were one of the few that I'm like, yeah. But if you've never read or listened to them, I mean it. I would highly recommend just download the audiobook. You can get it on Hoopla for free. It's just in your library. Do that. I would 100% recommend that you do that. Look at it like that, sister, as spiritual reading. And then Discernment of Spirits, that book, I would really amazingly highly recommend that. If you can find Bill Donaghy's course, if you can go attend it whenever it happens, do that. If one of you...
Oh no, I lost you again. Froze up. I froze. Hello, I cannot hear you.
Hey, are you there? Are you back?
I'm here now. It froze up. I couldn't hear you.
All right, not a problem. Blescal asked you real quick, anything virtual coming up, Bill?
Ooh. Oh, from the Institute angle? Let's see here.
Just you?
I don't have anything. There's all just live stuff coming up. I'm giving a retreat in Indiana next month, December 9th to the 11th, I think. Somewhere in Indiana. I don't think we have any virtual conferences coming up. Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry. The courses are in person.
We'll try to get him on the show as often as we can. Bill's sort of like an unofficial second co-host, especially when Kevin just doesn't show up.
What up with Kev? Tell Kevin I said hi. And also, I'm ashamed of him.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I'm just kidding.
No, anybody who knows his number, you should just throw him shade. It'd be good. But I want to say, for me over here, it is good to see my friend. It is good to have people tune in. It is good to get to do this. I appreciate. I hope you guys get uplifted. But if anything, this is selfishly just helps me out so much every time. Bill, if you'd be up for closing us with some sort of toast.
Yes, even though I drained my Drambuie and my Murphy Stout. Well, actually, there's a little sip of Murphy's left. Okay, so I'm going to quote the great Saint Columban, an Irish saint, I think mindful of your mission, you and Jacelyn and the kiddos. He once wrote, "A life unlike your own can be your greatest teacher." So to that experience of the Cambodian people, may every life be a teacher for you, and may your life teach them. Amen. Sláinte.
Amen. Cheers.
Oh.
All right. Well, if you guys enjoyed this, please share and join us next time. Hopefully, we'll be able to do that in the next month. Other than that, Bill, thanks for being here.
Absolutely.
Have a wonderful life. See you guys on the other side.
All right. God bless, Nick. See ya. Thanks.